Hey there. Welcome to the Pine Island Experience podcast. I'm Joanna Anderson with my husband, Trygve. Each of our episodes will be conversations with fellow Pine Islanders.
The goal of our podcast is to share with you our experiences, what we have found to be fun, and what makes the Pine Island Experience so unique.
But from the fungus issues, knowing that it worked on that, it was safe in the environment, shouldn't hurt the tree, my grandfather told this gentleman, Mike, yeah, go ahead, use it. And so he used it on the tree, got rid of the fungus, got it cleaned off, and trees started doing better. But what was surprising is normally he got 50 mangoes or so a year off of his tree. The following year, he got 800. It just absolutely exploded, like nothing you've ever seen. It really, really worked.
Back in 2003, Daniel Piper's grandfather stumbled on something big, BioWash. It started as an EnviroSafety cleaning product, but it might just help tackle world hunger. Let's hear how it all began. Daniel is feeling blessed in continuing his family's legacy, manufacturing safer products. And now, here's Daniel. So we're here today with Daniel Piper. Welcome. From First EnviroSafety, Inc. So we're very happy that you're here. We had a great discussion earlier about what you offer.
Thank you.
So we'll start in the beginning, where you were born, where you grew up.
So I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. My mother and father, my dad was in the Air Force at the time. And I was born and he got out within like 2 weeks of that. So he skipped the beginning of the first Gulf War by 2 weeks. When he got out, and then his unit was one of the first ones in dropping bombs in the first Gulf War. He was in B-52s. Then from there, they moved to Naples, and I was there from 1 month old until about 5. And they moved up to my parents moved up to the Ocala area, Marion County, and I lived there for till 16. Then I moved to New York for a couple of years, came back to Florida for a few months, joined the Army out of high school, did that for 7.5 years, ultimately ended up getting out due to my lung surgery and disability. And then from there, I ended up kind of living near my grandmother, helping take care of her. And I'd gotten out of the Army, and like anybody getting out of the service, that first year kind of sucks. You have trouble getting your feet underneath you. It's a big transition. It's very different. But I ended up living and working near my grandmother. I was working at Publix for about 5 years until February 22nd. My grandfather passed away. And that's what brought me back down to the island as an adult. Because my grandparents and my grandfather ran it until his passing. They started it in the official form of First Enviro today was begun in 1999, but he started working on it in 1995 because him and my grandmother wanted to get the toxic chemicals and things like that are in a lot of soaps and all sorts of products. Specifically soap, though, is where they started. And he set out to make a green, safe, economical soap that you could use for almost anything, and he succeeded. And then, in 1999, they started First EnviroSafety and started selling the soap. And it was around 2003 they discovered it worked in agriculture. That was an accident, purely an accident. And for myself, when my grandfather passed away, like any good businessman, my grandparents owned the building. The company rented from them. Company rented the building from them. And so that was my grandmother's, income. And she was 87 when he passed. So it's not like she was going back to work. So I had my job transferred down here and then started training at the company to, work as a backup for our then office manager who left rather suddenly in June, at the beginning of June. So I came down and started in March of 2022. And by June, I was running it by myself. The other previous office manager, Joyce, she's wonderful, but she had Parkinson's, so she had to retire. It's just one of those issues. What are you going to do? It's just unfortunate. Although I thank her every day. I wouldn't still be here without her meticulousness to detail for the 10 years, 11 years that she was there. And then since June of 22, I've been running First Enviro, just kind of figuring it out. you know, showed up and knew just enough once everybody kind of passed on or quit by June to be able to keep the lights on, pay the bills, and get through it. And then Ian showed up in September. Did not need that. None of us did. But that was an extra set of challenges that kicked off like 18 hours a day for 6 months. Just 7 days a week, work straight through. But we got through it. We still had to process all of our orders and still do our manufacturing. We had to scramble, but we were able to get it done in like totes and get some stuff. And it was extra work, but we got through it. And then at the same time, we were rebuilding all of our equipment and everything. Because when Ian came through, everything that was outside of the building got destroyed. Everything. There's still a lot of damage, like today on the fences and stuff like that. We just ran out of money. You got to keep the business open, but you can't fix everything and have nothing. And that was a huge challenge. And since then, it's just been the challenge of keeping it running and learning more and more and more about it and all of the different products, and then like how to sell them has been a real challenge for me. Just because it's so broad and very technical. It's all cutting edge science. So I have to understand it. I have zero background in that. But fortunately for me, I've been able to keep up and do it and just spend a lot of time studying and working at it. So jumping back to your original question in my background and everything. In the Army, I was a signals intelligence analyst. I was very fortunate. I got to do some cool stuff. And my first duty station was in Germany, in Wiesbaden.
Mm-hmm.
I was stationed there working at the 66 in my brigade. And our unit was 1st Battalion, Charlie Company. Although they've since closed it down and whatnot with the wind down of the wars in Afghanistan. The mission we did, we supported people in Afghanistan every day through various means, and did a lot of work to help support our guys on the ground, as well as help catch bad guys and make sure they're not doing what they can do, which is a really, really cool mission. You got to like really see like the battlefield from like a different perspective, which was really neat. And from that, I got stationed. I was there for 2 years, and I got sent to Fort Meade. I got stationed at that's where NSA headquarters is. If you're not familiar with Fort George G. Meade, I was at work that day. I think I'd been there 3 months, in that silly shiny glass building. That's when the news about Snowden broke, which was a very interesting piece of history to live. I have no involvement, didn't know the guy. I was just there, that day. And the whole place was losing its mind because they didn't know if it was like another 9/11 attack or, what's going on. You didn't know. From inside the intelligence community perspective, you safeguard your means and know-how of how you're doing your mission, right? If people know how you're doing that, then they can take countermeasures, right? Like if you know somebody's looking in your window, you close the window. Now they can't look in the window. Pretty simple.
And then how long were you there? Didn't you said you also went into event planning too. You
I
were
did.
talking about that. That sounded like more fun.
It had its own unique challenges. It was cool because I got to like run around and like go see all the different places around the campus and whatnot, on and off campus, because we did both classified events and unclassified events. Because I was the brigade venues coordinator. So whether it was a 5-person meeting between some, traveling professionals in for whatever, and they just needed a conference room for an hour, or if it was like the commander was wanting to speak to the entire brigade at once for some kind of event, then I had to find a venue that could hold 1,500 people because that was the size of the brigade. so that, we could all be there and coordinate all the mics and projectors and chairs and, all the little silly stuff that you need to put on an event, but you have to have it. Making sure you got your slideshow or whatever is ready for you. And you have the tools to be able to do it. And that was a really cool job. It was really, really challenging in a lot of ways. And then on the classified side, just a ton of extra steps to do the same thing. And you had to really plan it out and everything like that. But that was really cool. And then I went from that and I ended up being my brigade commander's driver / office assistant, helped keep like a schedule and greet people as they came in the office. It was for the whole command group too. It wasn't just like I was driving for just one guy. It was the commander, the XO, the sergeant major. We had a CW5 warrant officer in that office as well. I'm still friends with her to this day. She's awesome. Like you ever meet a person you just like, that is a force of a person. She's one of those. She's amazing. And her name's Chief. You don't call her anything else but Chief.
Good name.
It is. She's a chief warrant officer. She's
It sounds
CW5.
like a lot of this could have helped you in what you were dealing with here.
My time in the military, yes, I've noticed that there's a lot of skills and things that I learned how to do. And the military has this you can't say no aspect to it. You're given an order and you must complete the order. You have a mission and you must complete the mission. There's no option of not. So anything you were doing, I've got that gear in me or that mentality, I guess, when I'm like, well, I've got a problem. Well, that didn't work. Well, I got to keep trying something till something works.
You can't give up.
And yeah, it's just like not giving up ever. And I've certainly seen that pay me dividends in what I'm doing now, the last 3 years especially. I went from that brigade commander job, and I got to drive around all sorts of cool places. Used to have to like take them to the Pentagon and INSCOM and other places, and it was really, really neat. I got to like see a lot of kind of cool stuff. Most of it I can't talk about, but I got to see it, so. And then from there, I was out of my MOS. So the headquarters company, when I was doing the venues thing, and the command driving job, it's not my actual MOS in the Army. I was a signals intelligence analyst. So the Army has a rule: they don't keep you out of your MOS for more than a year, because otherwise you get bad at your job. They're just not doing it. They'd be doing something else. And so they put me back into switched me units and had me working another mission for a couple of years. It was a fun shift schedule. It wasn't fun. It was really bad for 2 years. It was 12 hours on, 2 days, 12 hours on, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 24 hours off, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 2 days, 3.5 days off, and you got to flip back to days. So you're flipping by 12 hours every 8 days, twice. And after about 3 months of that, you don't know when you are. Your day turns into about a 40-hour day, is what mine would do. I'd do about 2 weeks where I'd get 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night. And by night, I mean every 40, 45 hours.
At least you're not doing that on Pine Island.
Oh, God, no.
No. So this might seem a little more normal to you.
It's much better, for sure. And then when I got off of that was wonderful because I did it for 2 years. And that's actually when my lung popped. And I had to have lung surgery, and I'm missing 30% of my left lung. That's what's made me a disabled veteran now. And I couldn't pass the run after that. Before that, I was I ran cross country track, indoor track. I run a marathon at a Relay for Life in high school once with some of my cross country friends, stuff like that. Like I know how to run. I've been a runner most of my life, but the lung surgery that just ended that.
So if we go back to, I believe you said soap was the initial product or research thing. Was there a motivating event? Because there's obviously a lot of work and research and knowledge building to go and build the kind of products that you now have. Did they share with you? Like, was it just something that was a hobby / interest that grew, or was there something that happened and they said, we got to find a solution or a better solution to this?
So I think it was born out of care and love. And my grandmother, a few years before that, had gotten her doctorate in nutrition. Earlier, this is before I was born. At one point, my grandfather had like a heart issue. And so as a whole family, they, switched their diet to a much more health-focused diet. I mean, before my family's from the South, generally Florida, Alabama, Georgia, go back 100 years or so. So they ate a pretty typical Alabama, Georgia style barbecue, ribs, and,
All the good stuff.
yeah, all the delicious, good stuff. But that doesn't mean it's healthy for you. And with her getting her doctorate in nutrition, she later went on to also get a doctorate in acupuncture. And I forget what her third doctorate was in.
Oh.
Yeah, a little ridiculous. I don't know anybody else who has a grandmother with 3 doctorates. I've yet to meet them. I'm sure they exist. She was very much health focused from that first heart problem he had. And this has changed her diet. He didn't have any more real heart issues the rest of his life. That's not what ultimately got him in the end. He got sick at 87, like any of us, and thought he was just had a flu or a cold. And then the last 2 days, his kidneys started shutting down and things took a turn for the worse. And that was it. Nobody expected it. It was complete sudden out of the blue.
So when you said it was like he worked out and became a success, then was it a lot of testing? And do you remember, did they share with you like the time period? Like, was this something over several year period? And how did you get to something that he said, this is viable, it actually works?
So he started in 95. He had gotten a formula from another company. They had gotten involved with selling like this other green safe soap. And then that company went defunct and he ended up purchasing the recipe for it. He started selling it and whatnot because he believed them. And then actually my mom was using it. And I was, 5. And she was using it and she ended up getting some under her fingernail and it like chemically burned her. So she took and went to the local college and looked up the ingredients because she had chemistry in college and stuff. So, and this was in the 90s. So you had to go to a college. You couldn't just pull it out, your phone out of your pocket. And she looked them up and she said there's some of the most like toxic, nasty chemicals in there. And the previous company that he had bought the formula from was just straight up lying. And so he had to go back to the drawing board. And so he started tinkering with it and figuring out different ingredients. He played with it for a number of years until he found his success and came out with our Purely Green product, which is our first soap product.
Mm-hmm.
Our Purely Green 100, we also sell it today as the Purely Green 25, which is a 25% strength, still highly, highly concentrated. You have just different sizes, different concentrations, depending on the use and the customer.
From 95 to 99 is really a short time period to develop something like that.
Well, he was retired here, so he had plenty of time. And he had 2 doctorates himself. Yeah, between the two of them, they had 5. I think one of his might have been an honorary doctorate, so maybe a half doctorate, if you want to call it that. But
so then the the company launched based upon that successful soap product.
Mm-hmm.
Was he happy with that? Or is he the kind of guy that said, well, if I can fix this industry or fix this kind of a product, did that kind of drive him to find other areas where he could provide that help?
The follow-on discoveries and industries that our products work in were accidental discoveries. So from 1999 till 2003, he was selling it as a soap. He got some contracts on some of the TV marketing shows, where they got like a half hour.
The infomercial thing.
Yeah, infomercial type selling
Good
ones.
for him. That's smart.
Yeah, he did that for a number of years until that show moved on or whatever. And then in 2003, there was a gentleman down in Naples who had a mango tree with fungus on it. So from the soap side, at this point, he'd already had it tested. He had already gotten the testing done on the nanoparticles and learned how small they were, as well as all of the testing in that it's essentially a bleach analog for how well it kills germs and bacteria. It eliminates staph, MRSA, E. coli, basically the whole list. It was we already knew that it was readily biodegradable in the environment, as well as being made from plants and non-toxic and harmless to the environment. We'd already had it tested. It contains no cancer-causing chemicals, or no known cancer-causing chemicals is technically how you say that. And so we already knew it was really safe. We already knew how well it killed fungus and stuff like that. So this gentleman with the mango tree had fungus on it, which is fungus issues in agriculture are very common. You have like powdery mildew, downy mildew. You got the Fusarium 1 was a fungus that killed off the original banana. I forget what the first one was, but we have the Cavendish now today. Fusarium 4 is going around, starting to kill off that one off too. If you didn't know, they're really trying to keep the Cavendish around as a banana. We might lose some bananas in the next few years. Who knows? Although they're having good success with that, and our product works on it. So but from the fungus issues, knowing that it worked on that, it was safe in the environment, shouldn't hurt the tree. My grandfather told this gentleman, Mike, yeah, go ahead, use it. And so he used it on the tree, got rid of the fungus, got it cleaned off, and trees started doing better. But what was surprising is normally he got 50 mangoes or so a year off of his tree. The following year, he got 800. It just absolutely exploded.
So
like
it really
nothing
worked.
You've ever seen. Yes.
Really, really worked.
It really, really worked. We were expecting it to kill the fungus. We're not expecting it to, 58, give him a 16 times harvest, from his one tree. It was a full grown, mature tree. It was probably a 20-foot tall tree. I have pictures of it all over our marketing and stuff. Out of this world. So they started trying it on grass, and they started trying it on just about every plant they could. And that's how our BioWash product and label was designed.
That's BioWash 25.
There's the BioWash 100 and the BioWash 25.
Oh, okay.
Same product, just different dilution strengths and concentration depending on the customer. Right. My commercial growers will generally stick to the BioWash 100, especially if, depending on where they are in the world. We ship internationally all over the world. I've personally shipped to, I think, 40 different countries now.
Well, with all the administrative work involved, you have to have a lot of employees.
No.
Or no?
No, I work a lot.
Yeah.
I work a whole lot. It's just me. I've got my my warehouse guy, Steve. And then my mother's the CEO, and she's getting down. The last couple of months, I've been working with her in the office most days. Prior to when I took over, when my grandfather passed, my grandmother was 87, and my mom was living with her and taking care of her, and she needed it.
So is it in all kinds of agriculture? I mean, you mentioned the success with the mangoes, which kind of started the whole interest. Is it farming of edible products? Is it just, anything in
all plants except for like mushrooms or fungus-based plants.
Okay.
It kills fungus. So, yeah. If it has leaves and roots, BioWash will help it grow. It'll help it get better access to nutrition. We sell it for corn, soybeans, tomatoes, cucumbers, or cucurbits as they're often called in other places in the world. Tomatoes, avocados, figs, wheat, barley, rice. I have some golf courses that use it to help maintain their greens, which is a completely different way of doing agriculture. The grass is barely alive, and that's why they fertilize so much and whatnot. But they're chasing that really, really fine cut so the ball rolls well, and very different style. But we've used it in open fields, in greenhouses, and hydroponic systems, just about everything. Anywhere you can grow plants in just about any system, the BioWash helps it grow. And
it increases the harvest.
It
That's
does.
a big deal.
So BioWash has 17 different benefits. It helps with nutrient absorption. So basically in the soil, it helps to chelate the nutrition and form these little small micelles through this process called the cation exchange process. And so it forms these little micelles, and then those really tiny particles, because plants' roots are porous, right? They're porous, just like us in our skin. So if you have larger molecules trying to move into the plants, they can clog the pores. You're going to have less come through. But if everything's really small, it flows nice and easy. So the plant's able to more easily absorb the nutrition. It also helps with water retention or moisture. It helps to supercharge the photosynthesis in the leaf of the plant, which is how the plant produces energy, right? If you think about us, when a plant has an excess of energy, that's when it's able to produce fruits and flowers and grow faster. If it has bad nutrition and very low energy, you're not going to see much growth. And it also promotes larger root systems. So not only are you having easier availability of the nutrition in the soil to the plant, but you also have a bigger net, so to speak. Your roots are larger, they grow wider, they grow deeper. And so you're able to access more nutrition that is in the ground. It's an often or a common scenario for us when a farmer first starts using our product for the first year on their field. They will find that they can have a really, really ridiculous harvest because instead of if their roots of their plants reaching down 12 inches, maybe they're reaching down 18, and they've been fertilizing that field for years. And so, well, if their roots were always growing, roughly 12 inches, now you get down into all this soil down here that's full of fertilizer that just is runoff that hasn't been touched. Then now all of a sudden you have the roots penetrating down there and it's able to pick up more of that. And generally speaking, most of our customers find with time that they can reduce their fertilizer usage of their inputs by anywhere from like 10 to like 30, 40%, depending on the crop and the situation, which is really quite remarkable. That is huge savings.
It's more money for them.
Oh, absolutely. And then the plants grow better as well.
Yeah.
And so you have less issues, you have less disease issues, and you just get a very robust plant. It's really cool.
It is, and it's right here on Pine Island. You're not doing infomercials, are you, on Pine Island?
Well, I gave a presentation to the garden club last week, and that went very well. And I was at the Earth Day event here on Easter down at the Civic Center. We had a booth over there, doing our little selling there, and just getting it out there, sharing the products. The beautiful thing about all of our products, everything we do is safe for people, pets, and the environment, non-toxic, non-cancer causing chemicals or ingredients. So we're not harming anyone. The product's safe, which is really quite remarkable when you consider everything's known to the state of California to cause cancer somewhere.
So don't break any secrets or anything like that, but that sounds, wildly successful, et cetera. And I mean, international sales. Are there other things that you're thinking about or other areas of expansion that you'd like to get into?
Yeah. From the agricultural standpoint, in 2003, that's when we learned about the biowash. Over the years, from having farmers spray it on their fields and stuff like that, they started noticing that they were having less insect issues and less pressure. One of the reasons for that is the product helps raise the Brix content or the sugar content of your fruit. So if you have a higher sugar content in your fruit, if you have a biting insect that's like biting into eating the sap, it's much stickier. It's kind of like having like tar over your mouth and it like gums up your mouth and it's hard to eat, or peanut butter, and the same thing's happening to the insect when you have a higher Brix content on the plant. And so it actually makes it harder. So they literally like can't eat it in some cases. So that helps on the pest issue side as well. So not only is your plant doing better, but you also have less issue with bugs, which is fantastic. From using our product in the fields and stuff like that, my grandfather tweaked the recipe and came out with our bio-pesticide product, which is the registered one we sell for pesticidal uses. And so that was a follow-on discovery that happened several years later. On the soap side in the environment, we also in the early mid 2000s, my grandfather developed our oil clean product, which is one of our products that is used for environmental remediation. So it was actually used in the BP oil spill, or the spill here, to help clean up some of the shoreline and restore the shore grasses and things like that to health, to pull the oil and dirt and sludge out, and then naturally break it down in the environment in place, then help return it back to growing well. So you have a soap that helps plants grow that you're cleaning up the environment with. So you've got a really, really excellent experience because you're eliminating the actual hazard while also the product is helping the plants recover and bounce back, which is it's really quite cool. So that part kind of happened. That label was developed. And then over the years, we've got 11 or 12 soap labels. And they're all various versions. Over time, my grandfather came out with a new formula, which is our hygienic line, as well as our WOW line of our cleaning products. It's the same stuff. It's just like the WOW line is more of a heavy degreaser, like what you'd see in a mechanic shop style label. Whereas like the hygienic is something he developed during COVID to more focus on, hygiene hygiene and cleanliness and don't spread germs and things like that. And then just like, you know, we have different labels because somebody looking for a floor cleaner isn't necessarily looking for a toilet bowl cleaner. Product is phenomenal for both. And that's actually one of the really amazing things about our product is you can use the soap for like 95% of the cleaning. You can use it on your dishes. You can use it on your floors, in the bathroom, your toilet, shower, tile, leather, grout. Use it to clean the outside of your house, get like oil stains out of the driveway. It's really great at uh, just about everything.
What about washing machines?
Yeah, you can use it. It makes a very excellent pre-spray for getting like ink stains out and different things like that. It's not as economical as a laundry soap. Now, don't get me wrong; it makes a great laundry soap. So, but it suffers on the economics side of that, largely due to how water soluble it is, which is a great advantage everywhere else. But that first rinse, all the soap's out of the machine.
So what happened to my suds?
Yeah, so it's not quite as economical as a laundry soap, and so a lot of people don't tend to use it that way. I mean, I use it as my laundry soap, but I have an infinite supply. So that so far we've covered soap that'll clean about just about everything in your life. It kills everything bleach does, as far as Pseudomonas, E. coli, staph, MRSA. Pseudomonas is the hospital-killing disease, by the way. I actually have a lab report where the scientist was comparing it to bleach, and he said it was 20 times more effective at eliminating Pseudomonas compared to commercial-grade bleach. So that's the soap side. And then it branched over into the environmental remediation in like oil spills and things like that. And then we also, from working on the agricultural side, we have our pesticide product, which is also great for getting rid of like no-see-ums around your home. I figured that one out last year. I don't know if you know Paulette, but she interviewed me for the Eagle for that because we did a project actually right here at the Legion for the 4th of July event, and we sprayed with our pesticide there. And there was about 500 people there, and they said they didn't get a single complaint about the bugs at all.
Really?
Not one, which was
so mosquitoes and no-see-ums.
Yep, both of them. It's broad spectrum. It kills a lot more than just mosquitoes or no-see-ums. It'll kill mealybugs, aphids, just wasps, cockroaches, just about whatever you spray with it. Now, it does work on contact. It's not a systemic poison, right? Most traditional pesticides and things like that attack the central nervous system of the insect, which means it hits our central nervous system and our kids and our dogs and our cats. As one of the reasons, you know, with a traditional pesticide, or if you have a pesticide service come and spray your yard, and you know they get to put the little like "Don't go on the grass for 12 hours" sign out there because it's poison. Because you're spraying poison. And with our product, you don't have that issue, which is actually in the agricultural side for like greenhouses and production, one of its strong selling points is you can take care of your bug problems without a poison, so you're not exposing your employees. And also because you have no lockout time, because that's what that is. It's safe to go in there and continue your work. You can actually get more production done because you don't have to, you know, send your employees home for a day to come back the next day to continue work, which is another wonderful benefit of it. On the oil clean products, that one was extremely interesting because February last year, I figured out that it also puts out fires.
I think I read about that.
You probably did.
Yeah.
That is another discovery that I think is on a similar size and level as when they first learned it worked on plants and agriculture. Our BioWash product did, because that was a pure accidental discovery, and then the pesticide discoveries followed that. And then, of course, we did the environmental remediation side, and that turned into also lessons learned into our soil amendment product. Because in agriculture, you have the soil as well. So whether you're spraying an oil spill, or you're dealing with fertilizer-bound soils from over-fertilization for years, or different issues like that, our soil amendment product also helps with salt intrusion. It can help you reset your soil and clean out the contaminants or toxins It helps break down like pesticides and things like that in the soil, so you can eliminate the toxic things in the soil and return it back to good health. So with the soil mint product, if you have bad soil, what you generally would do is you come by and do a drenching, clean out the soil, and then as you're putting your nutrients back in, you could use something like an azomite product or uh, uh, other inoculates, so healthy um, bacteria that you want in your soil, because your soil still needs its healthy biome.
Mhm.
And so you can help return it back to health because you clean out all the toxic contaminants, and then you're coming back with your healthy biologicals and revitalizing your soil, so you have healthy soil for your plants growing. Then of course you have the biowash helping to grow that as well, which is really kind of cool. It's turned into this whole farming system.
And you're going to continue to find other things it does.
Oh
You know,
yeah, absolutely.
sounds like you keep finding more things that it will help.
Yes, there's more things that I know it does, but a lot of it we don't talk about just because we're not trying to make claims that could upset people or industries that point a finger. It but it's you gotta run the business,
Mhm.
learn it, and a lot of my challenge these days is recovering all of the lost knowledge. So like I know our product can do all of these things, but I don't necessarily have everything written down as I would have necessarily liked. A lot of the protocols my grandfather worked off of, particularly in the agriculture side, he knew in his head, you know, so he just did it. And most of our instructions are kind of general, which really is quite accurate for most situations. But once you start getting into the real specifics, they say the devil's hiding in the details, right? So a lot of what I do is I'm looking for him. I want to find him. That way I find him first instead of him finding me later.
Mm-hmm.
It's finding out the specific details. And one of the ways, I guess, where that's probably most true is I learned with the BioWash product that most of our 3 and 4 spray applications, particularly in agriculture, is good to get like a good benefit and see an ROI, a return on your investment, because you're adding an additional product from a farmer's perspective to help to increase your yield.
Well, let me ask you this: where can people purchase it? They can come to your place.
Yeah, they can come to our shop off of Betsy Parkway. They're in the industrial park. That's our manufacturing facility, and we do sell from there as well. Or Pine Island Feed here, about halfway. They also carry and sell it here locally on the island. And there's some other places. Driftwood over in Estero, they sell our products as well. Artful Exteriors uses them down in Naples, as well as there's Portuguese Roots Nursery, all the way out by about a mile past 75. You go straight out Pine Island Road. I think it's out.
Or online, they could probably.
Also, we have our websites. You can also purchase it online or just give us a call directly.
What are your hours then for people to come in?
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I'm often there later.
Of course you are.
But
to be able to do everything that you do.
Yeah, I work weekends a lot too sometimes, particularly if it's an event, right? Like last Sunday, I was down at the Civic Center. And whatever the challenge is at the time, Ian came in and I worked 6 months straight. That's just what it needed.
Well, thank you. This was very enlightening. So glad we heard about this.
Yeah.
Can't wait to try. Thanks for bringing that. Try it.
Thank you for having me.
So much.
It's a blessing to be living what I'm living at this point. I didn't see this coming. I was trying to take care of my grandmother, and I ended up here getting I have the privilege of continuing my family's legacy, and it's such a wonderful thing. The whole goal is to have safer products and take cancer-causing products out of your life and replace it with something that's safe, made from plants that is wonderful and works.
I can see it's making you happy.
Yeah, I like helping people.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed our Pine Island Experience podcast. If you have any ideas for us, people to interview, or any comments, please feel free to email them to us at pineislandexperience@gmail.com. That's pineislandexperience, all one word, @gmail.com. Don't
don't forget to like us, and you may subscribe to this podcast using all the major catchers like Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Thanks again for listening, and remember, island life is a constant vacation. We'll see you on the next podcast.